Caleb, when you rewatched the film, what did you see in those last few minutes after the delay for you guys to kind of keep the ball a bit more and see the game out?
Yeah, that was the main point we made, really, in talking to the guys is we were good. They weren't creating much, but they had a lot of sustained pressure on us, and we were too low for too long of periods. And obviously, Cucho scores that goal, which it's a great finish. It's just an unbelievable save. Then we win the game, but also we invited too much pressure late in the game, and a lot of it is the wingers were too deep. Needed them a little higher, both sides of the ball. So that was the main message. And then of course, at 1-0, you're always going to have to deal with some plays in the box. And Kai Kamara, hats off to him. He's made a career out of scoring goals like that with his head. He's one of the best all time in our league, and he certainly punished us in that moment.
Yeah. How do you not invite pressure? Because obviously any team down is going to press. So what can you do?
Yeah, it was tough because the way they play, they're good with the ball, and they're good generating positional attacks and carrying a game. And they left basically 3 guys in the box and then their wing backs high. So they basically had a front 5. Obviously losing Josh at halftime didn't help. We probably would have gone into a back 5 if we would have had that extra sub. So that in hindsight hurt us a little bit. You've seen in games we've gone to a 5. We couldn't do that. We tried to manufacture it a little bit with Artur playing as a 6 and dropping him in the low block when we were dealing with crosses. So definitely that was an adjustment that we tried to make, not being able to play with the third center back. With those 5 guys high, we ended up sagging into a 6 with our 4 and our two wingers, and we just could never get up the field, and we were relying on basically Cucho to pull off a play, 1v2, 1v3, and you're just inviting more pressure, which leads to more corners, which leads to more situations of crosses, and those are plays. Yeah, we still have to make, but we had to make too many of those, and we got punished for it.
Do you think inviting too much pressure has been a trend at times when you guys have allowed late goals and not gotten results when you're in position to?
I believe, I don't know, Jordan, I think you asked, I think we're the best team in the last 4 years when we scored the first goal.
Yeah.
So I think we've dealt with, when we scored the first goal and been ahead in teams, we've dealt with it well, by and large. And I really think, again, going in that 5 would have helped us with the way that this team played. So at the end of the day, I think that sub that we had to make for Josh being sick, I think that was probably a deal breaker for us against this team. Other teams we might get away with it, but that's why they've had such a good season, is they can keep the ball and they can space you out, and they're very good getting crosses through their wing backs, and they're very good on set pieces as well. So I don't think it's been a problem, a trend. I do think there are some games, yes, DC is case in point, where we dropped in too deep. We also had some personnel out in that game as well, which I think made a difference.
And thanks for the time, Coach. Update on Josh. I know he wasn't out there with the team today training.
Yeah, he's sick, so flu-like symptoms. He started feeling it midway through the first half. The water break kind of pulled us and said, I'm struggling, and then at halftime said he's out. So, it's going to be tight for this game for sure, because he hasn't been in training for 2 days and had to come out of the game, basically. Leave the game because of the sickness.
And another injury, Artur came back, played really well whenever he played the last 17 minutes. What are his kind of minutes looking like? Is he able to push to start, or is this going to be maybe a couple matches before him and Aiden are kind of going for that starting role?
Yeah, I thought he did well when he went in the game, actually. It's easy to kind of, pin the goals on the subs, and I think that's unfair. It's really unfair to do. Of course, though, I'm looking at all those subs and analyzing, was it the right decision? how are the performances? It might be the right decision, but maybe the performance wasn't there as well. But I thought Artur did well. He brought a bite when he came into the game, and I think again at that time Lucas was dead, wanted out because he couldn't. He was dead. Both wingers you saw they were dead. So I think those are the right subs on paper, but you need performances too. And I think going in the 4-3-3 gave us an extra number in there, but I think we lost a little possession, in hindsight. So I'll have to look at those and possibly rethink, what I do the next time I have the option to make those subs. But I thought Artur, he brings a leadership, brings a mentality. Aiden's been playing very well. Obviously, Aiden's had I think 10 games, in a row, and he's played well. Artur brings similar qualities, ball winning. He's obviously more experienced and brings a little more leadership at this point. So I think he's progressing, Artur. Obviously it's a good start in his re-entry back into our team.
And last one, looking ahead to this weekend, New York, obviously Tachi's gone, but now Maxi Morales is questionable after leaving last week. What do you kind of see tactically with them making adjustments, although they're still on a 7-match unbeaten streak with these changes?
Yeah, very good team. Obviously looking at these 2 games, we knew it would be difficult. 2 teams ahead of us. That's not by accident. Both Montreal and New York City, very good teams. It's not an accident that they're where they're at. Thought we played well enough to win versus Montreal, honestly, but it was a tight game for sure, and they had chances and we had chances. I went through all those chances that we created and all the chances they had, and if you look at for me, the chances, we had the better of it, slightly. So doesn't happen. We got to shake ourselves off. We have to learn from the end. We have to make corrections, but we have to move on, And we have to remember too, we've taken 1 loss in 10, But now going into New York City, it's not like we have a gimme game. We have another very good team. You could argue they're better than the team we just lost to.
That DC game was mentioned in the late goals, but you guys came back with a really good performance the next game against Cincinnati. Is there anything that you can draw on that reaction that your team had, or response that your team had, that you're looking for in this response?
Yeah, I think this is an experienced team that we have here. These players are experienced, and they've been champions, a lot of them. The trophies aren't back there, but a good majority of these players have put 2 trophies in that trophy case in the last 4 years, and I think when you have guys that are experienced, guys that have been champions, they know how to respond through a very difficult loss. That one hurt. That hurt all of us, but it's also football, and shit happens. Like it does, and yes, we need to not invite as much pressure, but again, at 1-0, you're always going to have a few moments where crosses come in and set pieces come in, and sometimes you head those out, and sometimes the other team makes a play, and you see it every week. We don't want to be one of those teams that's having it happen every week, and I think our guys are of that mentality. They're not going to get weaker. They're not going to get wobbly through that defeat. They're not going to get, frustrated and negative and start pointing fingers and turn this into a hangover. We need to bounce back here, and good players, experienced players, players that have been champions usually do, and I've seen that out of this group this year when we've had disappointments and things that could have rocked teams. We seem to bounce back, and I think it says a lot about the locker room and the experience that we have.
Thanks, Caleb.
Thanks, Caleb.
Appreciate
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Coach.
Take care.